Hey guys, it's Otto here. I thought it would be interesting to make a quick top 10 video going over what I believe to be the 10 strongest runes in Season of Discovery. A quick disclaimer though before we start, this is just my opinion of what I believe to be the strongest. I'm kind of doing an overarching power level of the runes, so PvE, PvP and outside of raid utility. So if you guys believe that there's a rune that I left out that you believe is really strong or deserves to be on the list, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to read your guys' opinions on what you think is really strong as well. So yeah, let's get into it. I'll be starting off the list with the Beast Mastery rune for Hunters. Now I'm sure you guys have all heard the massive drama around the Hunters getting nerfed multiple times in a row, the Scorpid pet being overpowered, the Wind Serpent pet being overpowered, the Cat pet still being overpowered, and I think that's mainly due to the two runes that deal with pets, but mainly the Beast Mastery rune. So while Kill Command was bugged and interacting badly with the pets, I think the Beast Mastery rune is what is overall making the pets really strong in Season of Discovery, allowing them to tank raid bosses, dungeon bosses, allowing them to kill players pretty much by themselves. This rune increases the pets' damage, health and threat and gives them a taunt and everything. So I think that right now it's really strong. I'm not sure how well it will scale into the future phases when these hunters get more stats. I'm not sure how well the scaling will carry on into the future. But as it stands, the Beast Mastery rune for hunters is really strong, and I believe it deserves at least the 10th spot on this list. It could even be higher. Next we have the Warlock's Metamorphosis rune. This is one of two tanking runes that I've placed on this list. And the main reason I've put these two tanking runes on the list, and you'll see the next one later on, is that I believe that they just shoved way too much utility into one single rune that just takes a Warlock from being a cloth caster to being a full-fledged tank with pretty much all the utility, all the threat, all the mitigation that you'd need just in one singular rune package. I believe that this is a bit weird. I think that if you want to have a proper build for a tank, that you probably need to take 3 runes in conjunction to really bring the tanking class together. However, with this just one rune, you get the armor, you get the threat, the crit reduction, you get a charge, instant cast spells, increased mana from life tap, you get other stuff like Shadow Cleave, which I don't think is very strong, but yeah, this rune is just insane. It doesn't make Warlocks the best tanks, but I believe that they just threw way too much into the one rune that it just kind of overshadows everything else as well. So yeah, Metamorphosis, very strong. And then at number 8 on the list I have Prayer of Mending for Priests. Now if you've been in a BG or in the raid, you just hear that constant ding 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 of all the Prayer of Mendings bouncing between players. With just one global you can get a ton of value out of one heal. It's super mana efficient, and it's also not even the top priest healing spell that I have on this list as well. I think priest healers are really strong right now in both PvP and PvE. In all content, they're really OP. So I think Prayer of Mending is just one part of what makes priest really strong, and I think it's a very powerful healing spell. So yeah, Prayer of Mending at number 8. At number 7 we have Star Surge, my personal favorite rune. I'm a bit biased considering I'm a balanced player. However, in PvP this rune is absolutely ripping up the meta. The range, with the increased range from talents, you're getting 42 yards, instant cast, single target nuke that can crit for up to 400, 500 even with enough spell power. At such a long range, no one can do anything about it. If you have the cat movement speed, no one can even chase you down or run away from you. This rune absolutely tears it up in the BG. And in PvE, while balance may not be the strongest class, DPS wise, I think that Star Surge has made a meaningful impact to the balance rotation and the damage profile. The mana cost being so cheap means that it's pretty much usable whenever you need it. It's a very strong spell, and yeah, I believe it deserves the top 7 spot on this list. Up next we have Consumed by Rage for the Warriors, and this is due to the fact that in raids they are currently the top dogs, doing over 300 DPS on some bosses. And while this is in part due to the fact that warriors are really strong in vanilla, this also is largely due to the fact that they've received so many % damage modifiers from runes. It's a bit ridiculous. And Consumed by Rage is a 20% damage increase, that has 0 cooldown that they can keep up for pretty much 100% of the fight. As long as they're bouncing between 80 and 100 rage, and they're managing that properly, they can keep this 20% damage up for the entire duration of every single fight. I believe it's really strong. I think it needs a cooldown on how often it procs. It is just so strong. So if you're a warrior, you definitely want to try out Consumed by Rage. It is super powerful. Coming up on number 5, we have the second tanking talent on the list, and that is the Way of Earth for shamans. This is making shamans really powerful tanks, as well as really monstrous in PvP. For both flag carrying, for elemental, for tanking in the raids, it's so strong. And for the low cost of just keeping Rock Biter on your weapon, you get a ton of defenses. 30% increased HP, 10% damage reduction, crit immunity, increased threat, putting the Earth Shock off of your cooldown of the other shocks, so you can Earth Shock into Frost Shock. It just increases your damage potential somehow for elemental, and you really don't lose anything for taking it. So Way of Earth, super powerful, and at least deserves number 5 on the list. At number 4 we have Wild Growth for the Resto Druid, and while I don't believe it is the strongest healer in the game, Wild Growth for Resto Druid pretty much overshadows every other heal in their entire toolkit. For around 250 mana you get an instant cast heal that targets 5 people, heals them for about 50% of their HP at this point, around 400 to 500 healing. It has a 6-second cooldown, so you can use it pretty much all the time. It is just so strong that it kind of just invalidates all the other healing that the Resto Druid can do. I think the only other thing that you would probably do is like an instant cast healing touch whenever you get the proc or Fury of Storm Rage, if you need to do a bit of single target healing. But yeah, Wild Growth for your AoE healing needs is just so strong. So as we move into the top 3 runes, keep in mind that any of these can be a contender for the top spot. This is just the order that I ranked them. So at number 3 I have the Aspect of the Lion, or Heart of the Lion I think it's now called. This gives 10% stat to the entire raid, and it's the same as the King's buff. However, Paladins aren't really able to get to that King's buff without severely gimping themselves. So I think both for Horde and Alliance it has equal value in being super impactful for the raid. Giving 10% stats even in just a 10 man is so huge. In a 20 man it's even better, in a 40 man it is completely busted. So for Horde this is probably going to be a mandatory talent for hunters for the entire game. It could even be strong by itself as we scale with the stats, but for Horde and Alliance in Phase 1, Aspect of the Lion is a must-have talent. You gotta have that hunter. Hunters do really good damage and they bring this really powerful rune. So for my runner-up spot for number 1, we have Penance for Priest. And this spell is the absolute bane of my existence in PvP. It pretty much makes whoever it gets targeted unkillable. Like, they heal so much, it costs such a small amount of mana, so even if a priest is they can still output insane healing. It raids, it's so strong, it makes tanks very tanky if you can keep cycling this on them. In PvP, as I said, it's so strong in duels, while leveling it's so strong. It's pretty much what makes priests an S tier class across the board in all different forms of content. It's also why if you're doing a Warsong pre-made and you have 3 priests, you're probably going to beat the Warsong pre-made with 2 priests. They need to be focused down, and without a Mortal Strike effect, the healing just outperforms the damage that most people can do. So Penance for Priest, definitely deserving of at least the top 3 spot or even the number 1 spot. It's just so strong. And finally, taking the number 1 spot on the list is a rune that I believe came out of left field, providing an unimaginably large amount of power to a spec that was previously considered a bit of a meme spec, and that is the Wild Strikes rune for Feral Druid. Now this rune is going to be mandatory for Alliance pretty much for the rest of the game, and you need 1 Feral group for every single melee group that you have, so Ferals are going to be an insanely high demand on Alliance. On Horde it might lose a bit of value, although I believe it's stronger than Shaman's Wind Fury, considering it affects Ferals as well. So Wild Strikes for Feral Druids, so strong. It's pretty much enabling the melee meta that we have right now, which is causing all the melee classes and physical classes to kind of pop off a bit more than the casters. So Wild Strikes, at least for Phase 1, I believe to be the strongest rune in Season of Discovery. So that brings us to the end of my list and the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, even if you didn't agree with everything that I put on the list as well. Again, if you think that I missed out on something, or you believe that another rune is stronger than what I have placed on the list, leave it down in the comments below. I'd love to read you guys' opinions. And besides that, if you did enjoy the video, please drop a like, a sub. All that stuff helps out immensely. I've received such tremendous support from you guys already, and I'm really enjoying making these videos so far. So yeah, otherwise catch me on Twitch as well. If you want to just chat, we can hang out. I'll be streaming more after now this Christmas period. I hope you guys had a good Christmas. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.